There's always three things that you need. It's time, money, and health. And you can have only two of those.
Yeah, so choose wisely.
Choose wisely. 11 years ago, we sold everything that we owned, moved to a van, and started traveling. Now we are in Spain with our truck camper. Before we moved to our camper van, we had a steady and really good jobs that we liked. We had an apartment that was
comfortable,
and our home for sure, and it was leap to unknown.
And it was scary as hell because we don't know how long we can travel without income.
And also what is ahead of us, because we didn't
know what the life on the road is. And I do believe a lot of people fear the unknown and they miss so many opportunities because they are just so afraid to reach it and take it and grab it.
Yeah, the leap itself, it's really easy to make.
When you have made the decision.
Yeah, but the decision is the hardest part of the whole process.
When you start taking the tiny steps towards your dream. And people are so afraid of failure. We were so afraid of failure too.
Yeah, like what if the life on the road doesn't feel good, or if we don't know how to live on a road?
And what if we hate the lifestyle?
Or our camper van will fall apart during the trip, or something else. We don't know the language. We cannot. We don't like the living on the road. There's a lot of unknowns, and the fear of like those things that you don't know, failing. It's the most
thing that keeps you from reaching your dreams.
Yeah.
We surely believe that if you try something and you fail, it's most hard for yourself. Because other people don't even see it as a failure. They just think, what a brave guy.
Going on the road.
And now it's time for something new.
And I think most of the fears are presented from the community rather than from yourself. Or they are prepared like that. They are really not that way. Nobody bats an eye if you come from the long road trip ahead of time.
Yeah, they are like, must be nice.
You had a really nice time during the road trip, or you didn't have. It was a nice experience, but still you didn't fail.
And over a decade ago, when we moved to live in our camper van, at first we were terrified what other people say about our living arrangements. What police will say, do we get the notorious knock? But in reality, nobody bats an eye. Nobody cares because people are so busy with their own lives.
Yeah. And those fears that you fail, that comes from your inside. Failing is normal.
People fail every day.
Yeah, every day. From
sometimes big
things and sometimes small things.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter at all. Still, when you get that mentality, it doesn't matter if you fail. Then you can actually do things and not just being paralyzed somewhere.
That's well said. As humans seek for comfort and stuff that we know, and our heads are full of what ifs, so those unknowns, and we have a tendency to push away from our dreams and goals because we think, we do it tomorrow, we do it next week, we do it next year. I do it when I'm retired. And time goes fast so quickly.
And that is only asset that you cannot get back. The time that you are wasting on some job that you don't like, or even if you don't like that job and you are seeking for a better job or anything, it's still a what if.
Always seek for the risky things over comfort. Because tomorrow might never come. It's such a cliche, but when you get older, you really realize that.
Yeah. It doesn't take much time after your 20s that you start to realize, like, what the fuck? The time goes by, time flies, and all those years wasted.
Yeah, and we are so glad we made this decision to move in the camper van while we were somewhat young, because now, being a middle-aged, you get tired. When you go for hikes, your body is sore after the hike. Everything becomes more difficult, and we are not even like really old yet. So everything becomes hard.
There's always 3 things that you need. It's time, money, and health. And you can have only 2 of those.
Yeah, so choose wisely.
Choose wisely. And what comes to the jobs? Yeah, we liked our jobs, but it was still stressful. You had 8 hours giving best of you for somebody else. And it felt really bad.
Because the payoff is so lousy.
Yeah, because you basically give all your life, like in a slavery. You are 8 hours in work, so you can actually have a house and have a food.
And maybe car to drive to that workplace.
Yeah, and then you have like 1 month out of 12 vacation.
Yeah. And
1 month out of 1 year, you can have a vacation from work. Otherwise, either you are working or thinking about working or waiting until the Monday comes.
Yeah, and I think it's the golden handcuffs effect, because you get paid from the job and you start to climb in the corporate ladder, and more money you get from the job you are making, you also start to spend money. Maybe buying an apartment in the little nicer place, or renting a bigger place, updating your car, and suddenly you feel like, I'm filled with all these appliances and new clothes and new car, and still I feel empty.
We have been minimalists all our lives, or somewhat minimalists. At some point we were actually like looking our stuff and like, what the hell? Why we have bought all this stuff and gadgets and everything in our house?
Yeah.
Because it looked awful. We knew that we had to work a lot to get those stuff, and it felt really bad at that moment.
Yeah.
If you can see like TV, like new TV that you bought, and you have worked for 2.5 weeks for that TV. Because I don't count the hours you work for something. For example, if I can save 12% of my salary, that is the amount that I need to work to get something.
It's good. Yeah, calculation.
So 1,000 euros per month, you have a salary, you save 120 euros. So if the TV is worth of 360 euros, it's 3 months savings you used that TV to get it.
Yeah.
3 months of work. What the hell?
And when you have the big ass TV in your house, in your home, you don't even feel like watching it anymore, because the thrill you get from that gadget,
it's really
a short
timed.
Yeah. And then you feel as shitty as before, plus you lost the money for the TV. So the math does not math. One thing we have learned living on the road all these years is
you get used to that you don't spend that much money.
And it's a positive feeling. So when your income goes lower, you lower automatically your needs.
And of course, if you think about your spending, like here, down below is everything that you need, and everything from here is everything that you want. And you start, of course, cutting these which are not affecting you at all, because they are not needs. And then you have just the needs, and you are getting along with much less money.
And what matters in the end of the day is a beautiful scenery around you, people you love in your life, food in your tummy, and roof over your head.
And also health.
Well, health means a lot, I know. When you lose it, then you start understanding. But living in a camper is really great tool to get to this point.
And also have a like really good grip on your spending. We are always thinking about monthly spending. That is the most important part, because those money goes away from your bank account every month. Food for your belly goes only when you go to the grocery store, and even then you have like 100,000 different choices that you can make on the grocery store.
Yeah, and it gets confusing and you get anxiety and stressed out. So,
but to me, I get more grip and more like a control of my spending.
Yeah.
So I can buy even either rice or avocados.
Yeah, you can choose.
At least in Nordics, and I think in Central Europe, you have this mentality of hustle culture. You are always saving money for something. You are always making like
for your future. It's never this day.
Yeah, so you are always ahead of time. You are always trying to fill all the blanks in your future that you don't even know. But you want to fill those blanks by working harder, working longer.
And that's why we absolutely love spending our winters in South Europe. The people here and the mentality is totally different. People live each day like fullest.
Yeah. So I think if you are wanting to change your life, I think that is the first thing that you have to do is get rid of the hustle culture. It's an awful, it's a consuming on your mental and your
wallet,
bank account. And when you get rid of that, it's so much easier to live whatever way you decide to live.
Yeah.
In a camper, anywhere.
Yeah, you don't need to live in a camper if you do not want to.
This is quite extreme. There ain't that much people living in a camper van.
Yeah,
so,
for longer periods of time. So
but
we are
living the life that looks like yourself. I think that is most important, that you can get happiness from it and it feels good.
And when you ask from people who are in their deathbeds, nobody ever says, I wish I worked harder, I wish I had bought more materialistic things. Never.
Yeah. So what our future plans in this more relaxing hustle culture of us is that we work as less as possible.
And I think it's a great way to feel freedom in your head.
Because we don't try to find ways to work again or ways to make more money. We are just trying to find the ways that we can just live until we die.
Yeah, it is a good plan.
Yeah, that is a good plan. It's so much less consuming, again, on your wallet and everything. And it gives you so much more.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
And end of the day, when you go to sleep, it's just a joy to go sleep because you are happy. You are truly happy. I'm really blessed in that sense that I have found a partner, a spouse who agrees with all these ideas and how we look at life, and we don't want to consume, and we just like to be into nature and be happy and live really simple life. So our advice is talk to your friends, talk to your partner, what kind of life they want to live. And more important, talk to yourself, what kind of life you want to live. Do you really want to work your ass off and be always worried and stressful? Or is there another way, maybe?
It doesn't need to be extreme, like us, but it can be something between.
Yeah.
Loosening up a little bit. And then, like, maybe seeing something more when you lose up. And then you can decide which way of life looks like yourself.
Yeah.
It takes time. It doesn't come after one night that deciding that this life will look like me.
Yeah.
No, it comes from the experience.
And that's why we absolutely love living in a truck camper, because this is such a simple life at we don't have any extra noises and disturbances around us, so we can actually know who we are and learn from ourselves. Do we like to go walk in the forest?
Yes.
Do we like to go to plunge in the cold sea?
Yes.
We like to cook our own meals and enjoy happy, simple life together.
Yeah.
So we have found ourselves in this way.
This video was a little bit different than others that we have done, but maybe you learned something about our mentality and how we think about life and world in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Lives are always different. Everyone's lives are different. You just you have a much of choosing what your life look like. So
do it and start planning, because tick tock, the clock goes, and you don't have the time in the world. You think you do, but no, you don't.
Nope. But it's in your own hands, for sure.